There's something that no man will ever admit out loud, but every man feels deep down. He only truly respects a woman when she shows him 3 specific behaviors that completely disarm his ego. It's not about looks. It's not about how sweet or affectionate she is. It's about how she carries herself in moments when most women would lose control, and how she reacts when he tries to test her emotional strength. You see, men don't consciously plan these tests, but subconsciously every man observes how a woman handles conflict, how she responds to distance, and how she reacts when things don't go her way. Because to a man, those are the moments that separate a woman he can play with from a woman he deeply respects. Let me tell you something powerful. Respect is the foundation of love. A man can desire you, want you, even chase you, but if he doesn't respect you, none of it lasts. The attraction fades, the connection weakens, and eventually he starts pulling away. And here's the truth most women never realize. When a man loses respect, he doesn't announce it. He doesn't argue about it. He simply detaches, emotionally first, then physically. He starts replying less, investing less, and you begin to feel like you're constantly fighting to prove your worth to someone who doesn't even see it anymore. But when a man respects a woman, everything changes. He listens to her even in silence. He defends her even when she's not around. He values her opinion, fears losing her respect, and admires her in ways words can't describe. And the fascinating part? Respect doesn't come from what you say. It comes from what you don't say. It doesn't come from trying to be perfect or agreeable. It comes from knowing your worth and acting like it. When a woman understands this, she unlocks a power that few ever discover. Imagine this for a second. A man who once took you for granted now pauses before speaking to you. He starts choosing his words carefully, watching his tone, and paying attention to your energy, because he knows he's dealing with a woman who doesn't tolerate half-hearted effort. He respects your boundaries not because you begged for it, but because your silence told him everything he needed to know. That's what happens when you embody these 3 behaviors. You don't have to demand respect and then you inspire it. You don't have to argue for your value. You radiate it, and men feel it instantly. Over the next few minutes, you're going to understand exactly what those 3 behaviors are, the ones that make a man drop his defenses, silence his ego, and start seeing you not as an option, but as a woman he could never replace. But before we go deeper, I want you to take a moment to reflect on something. Have you ever noticed how the same man who once ignored your messages will suddenly start respecting another woman effortlessly? It's not magic, it's psychology. And once you understand it, you'll never chase respect again, because it will start chasing you. Let me tell you a story that perfectly illustrates how respect is born in the mind of a man. A few years ago, a woman named Elena met a man who seemed to have everything: confidence, charm, and that mysterious energy that draws you in without effort. They started talking, and soon enough she found herself falling for him. He wasn't just another guy. He made her laugh, he made her feel seen, and he had that calm, controlled energy that made her feel safe. At first, everything felt easy. He texted her every morning, made plans on weekends, and talked about how different she was from other women. But then, slowly, something shifted. He started taking longer to reply. His tone changed. Less warmth, more distance. The good morning texts stopped. The calls became shorter. And Elena did what almost every woman would do. She tried harder. She wanted to fix it, to understand what went wrong. She became more available, more forgiving, more patient. But the more she tried, the colder he became. Until one day, after waiting for hours for him to show up to dinner, she realized something. She had been trying to earn respect from a man who had already stopped giving it. That night, she didn't argue. She didn't send a long emotional message or demand explanations. She simply paid for her own meal, left the restaurant, and went home. No drama, no chase, no need to prove anything. 2 days later, he texted her, "Sorry, I've been busy." She saw the message and didn't reply. Not because she was playing games, but because she finally understood that her silence said more than her words ever could. And that was the exact moment when everything changed. For the first time, he started chasing her. He called, he apologized, he tried to explain himself. But the truth was simple. She had done nothing special. She had just stopped trying to convince someone to see her worth. That single act, quiet, calm, and firm, disarmed him completely. Because deep down, every man knows how rare it is to meet a woman who values her peace over attention. You see, men respect what they can't control. They may enjoy women who are easy to please, but they admire the ones who don't bend easily. And that's what Elena had finally learned, that respect doesn't come from trying to make a man happy. It comes from refusing to betray yourself just to keep him comfortable. From that day on, their dynamic changed completely. He started showing up on time. He began texting her first, asking how she was doing, showing real curiosity about her life. And she no longer needed his validation because she had learned something powerful about human nature. When you stop begging for respect, you force people to see you differently. And that's the shift that every woman must experience at least once in her life. The moment she realizes that her calmness is her power, that her silence when used with self-control speaks louder than any argument, and that walking away doesn't always mean giving up. Sometimes it means reclaiming everything you had lost by trying too hard. Elena didn't become cold or cruel. She simply became clear, and that clarity made her untouchable. Because a man can't respect a woman he can predict. He respects the one who surprises him, not with manipulation, but with emotional strength, the one who stays calm when he expects chaos, the one who values peace more than his approval, and the one who can love deeply, yet still walk away if she's not treated right. Now let's break down the truth behind what happened to Elena, and what happens inside the mind of every man when he meets a woman who carries herself with true inner strength. There are 3 behaviors that completely disarm a man. 3 silent but powerful attitudes that make him stop seeing you as one more and start treating you like a woman he doesn't want to lose. The first behavior is emotional composure, the ability to stay calm even when everything in you wants to react. A man's ego feeds on emotional chaos. When he pulls away, when he becomes distant, when he says something sharp, he unconsciously expects a reaction. He expects anger, insecurity, or tears, because that's what most women give him. It's not cruelty, it's conditioning. He wants to see how much control he has over your emotions because that's how the male mind measures power in relationships. But when you don't give him that, when you remain calm, centered, and emotionally neutral, it confuses him because suddenly he realizes that his words or actions don't define your mood, and that's where respect begins. A man respects the woman who doesn't crumble when he tests her patience. He respects the woman who can express herself with clarity, but without losing her balance, because emotional stability tells him something his instincts can't ignore. This woman doesn't need me to feel okay. She chooses me, but she doesn't depend on me. And that realization changes everything. It makes him cautious, attentive, and even protective, not because you asked for it, but because he instinctively feels that he could lose something valuable if he plays games. The second behavior that disarms a man is boundaries with grace. Not boundaries shouted out of frustration, but quiet, steady lines that you live by, not because you want to punish him, but because you respect yourself. When a woman calmly says, "That doesn't work for me," or "I don't accept being treated that way," and she doesn't follow those words with arguments or explanations, a man instantly feels something shift inside him. It's not anger. It's a strange mix of respect and fear, the healthy kind of fear that comes from realizing she knows her value. Men respect the woman who can walk away from anything that costs her peace, not out of pride, but out of principle, because he knows that if she can walk away from him, she can walk away from anyone. And deep down, that's what every man secretly admires, a woman who doesn't chase what disrespects her. Here's what most people never tell you. Boundaries don't push good men away. They push the wrong ones out of the way so the right one can see you clearly. A mature man doesn't feel threatened by your standards. He feels honored to rise to them. The third behavior, the one that completes the transformation, is selective vulnerability. That means showing emotion without losing dignity. It means letting him see your softness without letting him mistake it for weakness. You can tell a man, "That hurt me," or "I expected more from you," without begging for his validation. Because when a woman can express pain without collapsing, she becomes unforgettable. Why? Because she shows balance, the perfect combination of strength and humanity. And men are drawn to that more than anything. Not the loud kind of independence that says, "I don't need anyone," but the quiet, confident kind that says, "I can stand alone, but I choose connection." That balance is what truly disarms the male ego. It makes him drop his defenses and open up in ways he never does with others. Because deep down, a man doesn't want to dominate a woman. He wants to feel safe with her. And safety doesn't come from control. It comes from respect. These 3 behaviors, Composure, boundaries, and balanced vulnerability are not techniques. They're reflections of self-awareness. They come from knowing who you are, what you deserve, and what you will no longer tolerate. And once a woman embodies them, everything changes. Men stop testing her and start respecting her. They stop playing games and start showing effort. Because in a world full of women trying to prove their worth, she's the one who simply is worthy, without trying. Let's be honest. A man can resist attraction, but he can't resist respect. Attraction makes him curious. Respect makes him loyal. Attraction fades, respect deepens. And that's why the woman who understands these three behaviors doesn't have to demand commitment. It naturally finds her. Think about it. When you show emotional control, he sees that you can handle pressure. When you set clear boundaries, he sees that you're not desperate. And when you're vulnerable without losing self-respect, he sees that you have heart and depth, something rare, something valuable. And in that moment, his instinct shifts. He no longer wants to win you. He wants to deserve you. Because you've become something every man secretly searches for but rarely finds. A woman who is both soft and strong, gentle but unshakable, kind but not naive. Now let's talk about the other side, the part no one likes to face. What happens when a woman doesn't embody these three behaviors? What happens when she gives her heart, her energy, her time, but forgets her value in the process? At first, everything seems fine. She feels loved, wanted, chosen. He compliments her, makes her feel special, and she believes she's finally found something real. But slowly, without even noticing, she begins to lose her balance. She starts over-explaining herself. She forgives too quickly. She accepts small disappointments and tells herself, it's not a big deal. But those small things add up, and soon the man realizes something she doesn't. She's become predictable, and predictability kills respect. When a man knows exactly how you'll react, that you'll always be available, always understanding, always forgiving, he stops trying. Not because he's evil, but because comfort dulls effort. He starts taking your kindness for granted. He stops feeling the need to earn your time or your attention. And once that happens, the dynamic changes forever. He begins to withdraw, not dramatically, but gradually. He texts less, cancels plans, gives half answers. He starts investing only enough to keep you close, but not enough to make you feel secure. And instead of confronting it, you try harder. You text first, you ask what's wrong, you start giving more to fix something that's already slipping away. And the more you give, the less he respects you. That's the cruel irony of human psychology. The more you try to prove your worth, the more people question it. The more you tolerate disrespect, the more they push the limits. Until one day you wake up feeling invisible in a relationship that once felt like home. He's there, but not really present. He talks, but not with the same spark. You feel like you're chasing the ghost of a man who used to adore you, and you start wondering what changed. But the truth is, you changed first. You stopped being the woman he respected because you started trying to be the woman he liked. And here's the painful truth. A man can love a woman he doesn't respect, but that love will never last. Because love without respect turns into pity, convenience, or attachment, never admiration. And once admiration dies, everything else starts to decay. That's why it's so important to remember what truly holds power in relationships. Not the chase, not the beauty, not the desire to be the one. It's your ability to walk away when you're not being valued. It's your courage to stay calm when others would beg for attention. It's your refusal to lose your dignity, even when your heart is breaking. Men never forget the woman who walked away with grace. They might move on, date others, even marry someone else, but deep down, they'll always remember the one who had the strength to leave without bitterness, because that kind of strength leaves a mark. When a man disrespects a woman and she stays, he learns that her love is unconditional, but not in a good way. He learns that she'll forgive anything, that she'll keep coming back, that she'll keep believing his excuses. And once he learns that, he stops fearing the loss of her respect. And without that fear, he has no reason to change. That's why silence, boundaries, and composure are so powerful. They restore the balance. They remind him that your love is a privilege, not a guarantee. And that realization hits harder than any argument ever could. So if you find yourself in a situation where he's pulling away, where you feel unseen or undervalued, take a step back, not to punish him, but to protect your peace. Because when a woman chooses herself, everything around her begins to shift. Men start showing up differently. Conversations change, energy changes, and most importantly, you change, from needing respect to commanding it. That's the turning point. Because once you've experienced the peace of being respected, you'll never settle for being tolerated again. And the truth is, when you stop accepting half love, half effort, and half truths, the wrong people disappear, but the right ones stay. The ones who see your value. The ones who don't want to test your strength because they admire it. The ones who feel lucky just to be chosen by you. At the end of the day, everything comes down to one truth. A man only respects a woman who respects herself first. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room to be powerful. You don't have to prove your worth through sacrifice, effort, or endless patience. You don't even have to make a man see your value, because when you live your value, he has no choice but to feel it. Men are drawn to what they can't easily have, but they stay for what they deeply admire. And admiration doesn't come from perfection. It comes from authenticity, from being kind but not naive, loving but not desperate, soft but never weak. When you show emotional composure, you teach him that your peace is not for sale. When you have boundaries with grace, you teach him that access to you must be earned. And when you practice selective vulnerability, you teach him that love is a privilege, not a right. Those lessons stay in a man's mind forever. Because while attraction may fade and excitement may come and go, respect is what roots a man in loyalty. It's what makes him think twice before saying something hurtful. It's what makes him value your presence, fear losing your trust, and want to rise to your level instead of pulling you down to his. And the beauty is, you don't have to manipulate him to get there. You don't have to play hard to get, or act distant, or pretend to be something you're not. You just have to be intentional with your energy, to know that not everyone deserves your softness, that not everyone deserves to hear your story, your fears, or your heart. Because when you give everything too quickly, you leave nothing for him to discover, and discovery is what fuels masculine respect. Every woman has that power inside her. It's not something you need to learn. It's something you need to remember who you were before someone made you doubt yourself. To remember the version of you that didn't chase, didn't beg, didn't over-explain. The version that simply existed in her own peace and light. That woman still lives inside you. She's the one who knows that silence can be louder than words, and distance can be more powerful than arguments. She's the one who doesn't fear losing a man, because she knows that real love doesn't demand that you lose yourself first. So if you're watching this right now, let this be your reminder. You never have to force respect. You only have to embody it. And when you do, something incredible happens. Men start treating you differently. They speak with more care. They look at you with admiration instead of entitlement, because they feel it. That quiet confidence that says, I'm not here to be chosen. I'm here to be valued. And the moment you carry yourself that way, you'll notice a shift, not just in how men treat you, but in how you see yourself. The anxiety fades. The fear of being replaced disappears, because you finally understand that the right man doesn't need to be convinced. He recognizes your worth the moment he feels your energy. So protect your peace. Value your silence. Guard your softness. Because those are not weaknesses. They are your greatest strengths. And the woman who learns to balance them becomes unforgettable. If this message resonated with you, it's because deep down you already know your worth. You just needed a reminder. So take a deep breath, hold your head high, and remember this. The woman who commands respect never has to ask for it. She simply becomes the standard that no man can forget. And that quiet, unshakable energy is what makes a man see you not as someone he can play with, but as someone he's lucky to keep.